Hi Capricorn, welcome to your May 2017 Astro update. It's Raina here. This forecast is for Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising. So Capricorn, I think that if I were to kind of talk about what the primary influence is going to be for you, it is several houses, the 4th, 5th, and 6th houses. And the reason I say that is because you have Mercury turning direct in your 4th house of home and family. So during the course of the retrograde, you had it start in your 5th house, which deals with your creativity, home business, a new love, children, and going back into the 4th house of home and family, and dealing possibly with the family of origin, communicating with them about something. Could be about a house, housing matter. And all month long, you actually have Venus in this 4th house. So there could be some kind of material gain that comes from real estate, from your mother, or from your roots, your family of origin, even from your current domestic situation, because you may be selling a house, but you're going to have money. You could have money that's connected to real estate come into play. And Venus in Aries, this is part of that retrograde that now is direct. Venus began its retrograde in March in the sign of Aries, went back into the 3rd house in Pisces, and now is back in the 4th house. So there could have been something that you've kind of ironed out in this area. And that's kind of what May is all about. It's things getting back to normal from these personal planets like Mercury and Venus retrograding that may have thrown things a little bit up in the air, or just not as smooth sailing as you would like. But I do see with the Sun in the 5th house going into 6th house on May 20th, that for those who work at home, this could be really beneficial. You know, the 6th house is the house of what you do during the day, your schedule. And you have Mars in this house because it's also the house of health. It's also the house of service. With Mars in the 6th house, it can indicate getting physical for your health and having extra energy to do so. But it can also indicate, if you work for another person in a workplace, that there could be conflicts with co-workers, because Mars can also indicate anger. It can indicate disharmony. So you may have some kind of thing. I mean, it could be a situation where you were working from home and you decided to take on a second job, and you know there's some kind of a conflict with the people that you're working with, or maybe it just is that you're very, very busy. Sometimes Mars just indicates extra activity, so that could actually be beneficial for your pocketbook as well. If you're working more, hopefully you're making more money as well. But there's going to be a wonderful trine that occurs on the 12th and 13th of May, because Mars in that 6th house in Gemini will form an exact trine, or an easy flowing aspect, with Jupiter in your 10th house of career in the sign of Libra, a fellow air sign. So anything that you launch or, you know, push forward, that is, it's going to be particularly dealing with these two areas, which are kind of like connected. You know, your career and the actual work that you do is connected, or the daily routine that you have. how these things get tweaked and managed, that could have a long-lasting effect, because Mars is our ambition, our drive, and Jupiter is our luck. And, you know, having luck in the house of career and the drive to work, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, really. And there's going to be a full moon in your 11th house, which is, you know, your 11th house is Scorpio. And there's going to be a full moon in Scorpio on May 10th. And the 11th house is a house of hopes and wishes. It's the house of friendships, group associations. And so it, you know, sometimes full moons can indicate endings. So if you have, you know, been attending a certain meeting with a group and you decide that you're not really feeling it, then you may decide to cut ties with that group, or maybe a friendship ends. But it could be some kind of a culmination. Maybe you've been working on a project with a group of people and it comes to fruition. It could be a hope that you have harbored that comes true. And again, with this beautiful trine, it could be work-related. Maybe something even with if you have a home business. Because whenever you have a full moon, it means that the sun is in exact opposition to it. And so the sun will be in the 5th house during this time. So that could be a time when something connected to a home business is that you're dealing with these two polarities. Perhaps you have to cut your social life down because you are starting your own business. You just don't have the time to deal with other people. If something like that were to happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because your priorities have changed. Maybe the friendship is not as fulfilling, you know, to you as it was at one time. You may decide that a goal that you had is no longer what you want. Things change, you know. We all alter our plans from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's going to be, and I think I had mentioned this earlier, that there is going to be a new moon in that 6th house of health and daily routine in Gemini. So, as I said, it could be a new work environment, but it could simply be that you decide to change the way that you do things on a day-to-day basis, especially if you are running your own show. You may decide that, hey, you know, I haven't been getting up early enough to do to take care of my clients, or I haven't, you know, I want to start a blog, you know, that's going to help my business. You know, especially if you have an online business. It could be anything along these lines, but I do feel that you have a lot of good energy that deals with work-related matters. The other thing is that the North Node is shifting in May. It's currently in Virgo in your 9th house, and the North Node goes backwards, and the North Node is your soul's mission. But it can be, for the transiting North Node, it will be more of a area to focus on in the coming months. And in the 8th house, where it's going to be in Leo, this is the area of sex, death, and other people's money. So this is the house that Scorpio naturally rules. And there's an intensity to the 8th house. So it may be telling you that you need to dig deeper in your life. Maybe you've been kind of hiding behind your work. And let's say you're married. Maybe your marriage is suffering because you haven't been intimate with your partner. Not, sex is certainly a form of intimacy, but also the deep conversations, really being vulnerable with your partner and allowing your partner to see the softer side of you. Capricorn can be a hard-boiled sign. There's no question about it. The ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and Saturn is not warm and fluffy. Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn kind of is like a drill sergeant or like a real, I was going to say like a personal trainer from hell, that really wants to see you in shape, but along the way that they do it, it can seem harsh. And of course, because it's your ruler, you may not see it that way. And so, by the way, you guys, you're going to have Saturn in your sign come December. So I don't think that Capricorn individuals are going to tremble at the thought of this because it's your ruler. And your ruler is your rising signs ruler, typically. But we can say that also about the sun sign, I guess. But as your ruler, it's an energy that other people find a bit daunting. I don't think that you have that problem, but there are other influences and there are other things that you have to learn. So you have to learn how to dig deeper, look at some of your motivations. And sometimes motivations happen because a person has deeply buried issues that they never really addressed. From this lifetime, but maybe even from other lifetimes. And of course, that's going to be even harder to address. And I say this because your 12th house is Sagittarius. And you currently have your ruler in the 12th house. And Saturn in the 12th house is no picnic. It can really feel oppressive. So when I say, this too shall pass, yeah, literally within a little bit more than half a year, you won't have it in this house anymore. And so while you have this transit of Saturn in the 12th house, it's a good time to really look at some of the things that keep you back. But when the North Node is in the 8th house, now the 12th house and the 8th house are both water houses, so they deal with emotions. And you as an earth sign isn't necessarily the most emo person on the planet. And unless if you have a lot of water in your chart, or even fire, the passion of a fire sign can replicate that kind of emotional self-expression. But in general, Capricorns tend to be very rational and controlled. And the 8th house is about bearing your soul. So that can be very challenging for somebody like you, and yet that's something that you need to move towards. And the 8th house is also the house of death. So making peace with issues surrounding this, including, really getting to understand the metaphysics of life, which is kind of ironic because metaphysics means beyond the physical. And you're an earth sign, so you're all about the physical. But you have to get beyond the physical in order to understand the things that are not of this world. In death, there's obviously a physical death, but we're talking about the survival of consciousness beyond death. You've had the North Node in that 9th house with the philosophical framework, and that was kind of your 101 course. Now we're dealing with some stuff that's beyond organized religion, that's more about spirituality. and even kind of hidden matters, the occult. Not superstition or anything like that, but looking at life from the deepest possible level. And also other people's money. So getting away from the issue surrounding the second house, because that is the opposite house, and that is where the karmic restrictions are currently going to be come May. The second house is your earned income. So the focus now is on other people's money. Perhaps you have to learn how to share resources. Are you too selfish? Are you too, I, me, mine about your money? And, there are all kinds of things, because the 8th house is about merging. So if you're the kind of person that likes to separate your life into little compartments, this can be a challenge to you to not be so concerned with that right now. And I think that this is going to be a very interesting time for you because you have Pluto in your sign. So you're already, Pluto is the ruler of the 8th house. So you're getting a dose of this, coming from that, transit as well. And so by the time Pluto gets through with you in 2023, Capricorn, you might be unrecognizable, but it'll be a good thing, because it's a very healing, transformative energy. So I hope you enjoyed this, Capricorn. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome May. Bye.